Hello and welcome back. In case you didn't know this is actually a huge milestone for me. This is movie number 300 that I reviewed since I started Mr. Pat's 31 Days of Halloween a decade ago. Now, on a normal day, I have difficulty picking the right movie. Now, imagine the difficulty when it's number 300. I realize as of late I've been more focusing on modern horror, and I want to change that. So for today, I went way back to the Vincent Price classic, House on Haunted Hill. An eccentric millionaire is hosting a party for his fourth wife in a haunted house. He has invited 5 people to his soiree. One of the caretakers of the place, a jet pilot, a doctor who specializes in hysteria, a newspaper columnist, and someone who works for him. If they stay the whole night, they'll have a nice $10,000 check waiting for them. Adjusted for inflation, that would be slightly less than $90,000 today. The movie starts with a floating head of the caretaker guest, Watson Pritchard, giving a short lesson on the sordid history of the house, followed by a floating head of Vincent Price giving all the backstory before we start the movie. It's a little hokey, but they're talking directly to the audience, and the ghostly image of the head, plus Price's awesome voice, effectively sets the mood before anything has a chance to happen. You don't get anything like that today, but it's foreboding and creepy. From there, we learn a little bit more of the party's guests, including Price's wife, Annabelle. And to say their relationship is on the rocks, it's an understatement. Every time they speak to one another, it's full of malice, insinuations, insults, and lightly veiled threats. Both of them believe the other is trying to kill them and will use this party as a way to do it. After their uncomfortable interactions, we then take a tour of the house and we learn a little bit more about the deaths that happened there. And we find out for some reason there's still a giant vat of acid down in the basement. We'll call it Chekhov's acid pit for those in the know. I've said it before that I wish I would have been around the time to experience The Exorcist when it first came out in theaters, because watching it now, I just became so desensitized to that type of horror that after seeing this movie, I think I would have rather been around for the time William Castle was doing his little tricks in theaters. During the climax of this movie, some theaters would have a skeleton flying above the audience to make the experience a bit more immersive. The theaters had to put a stop to that once people started bringing slingshots to try and shoot down the skeletons, proving that trolling isn't a modern phenomenon. This movie works as well as it does because of Vincent Price. The way he towers over everyone, his deep voice, and how he carries himself makes everyone paranoid about him, and that's even before his wife starts telling the guests Price is trying to kill her and the rest of them. It's fun seeing all the side glances he gets from everyone, well, except for Pritchard, who is too busy drowning his fears in alcohol. When he's not drinking, he's warning everyone about the ghosts that they've stirred up, trying to get them to see the danger they're in. Naturally, they brush him aside as a crazy drunk. Like much of the horror films of this era, it's very heavy on atmosphere. They obviously don't have the technology we do today, so the movie focuses more on setting the mood. We have the scary house, lightning and thunder, spooky noises, and plenty of darkness. And on top of all that, the caretakers lock them in 5 minutes earlier than expected, so they're stuck in there until 8 a.m. Now, I don't really want to talk more about the caretakers because they make no sense. They're just there to look creepy and provide a weird scare. Another thing I like about this movie is you're not given a definitive answer as to what's going on inside this house. You learn about a fake death and a conspiracy, but you don't know what was part of the plot, caretaker being weird, or an actual ghost haunting the house, even at the end. You get some answers, but there are several things left dangling that let your imagination piece together. It's not the greatest in the world. It's short, but it's pretty light on things happening. There's a lot of talking and finger pointing, but still, it's a solid movie. As far as type of movie, I'd say it ventures more into a Knives Out mystery, where the 1999 remake, which I was also a big fan of, is more straight horror. To be honest, I didn't mind the direction this one took. Thinking on it, I like the plots on top of plots that's going on here. You see something happen only to realize it's not what you thought. Then there's a big reveal, followed by another big reveal, we were able to piece together pretty much what happened inside that locked house. Summing it up, Vincent Price is wonderful, but that's a given. The house is very cool looking, but you don't get to see very much of it. There's the living room, identical looking bedrooms, a hallway, a spookier hallway, and the basement. I wish they would have explored a bit more, like in the remake, to really open up the setting, but I understand why they didn't or couldn't. Still, it's pretty entertaining and worth a watch, especially when you consider its pedigree. Alfred Hitchcock decided to make Psycho after seeing the box office totals for House on Haunted Hill. I mean, who wouldn't want a celebration with food, drink, and ghosts? 7 Dr. Chainsaws.